8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hello! Hi, welcome to EM Publishing's monthly live stream. It is June. I'm Jessica. I'm the business manager at EM Publishing, so my job is to do everything that Morris doesn't want to do. And I'm also joined today with Sara and Ro. Sara, could you introduce yourself and what you do at EM Publishing?
Hello. We also have Took. You just haven't added him to the thing yet.
Oh,
hi.
Took is also here.
Took is also here. There we go.
Took. We also have Took.
We also have Took. Hi, I'm Sara. I'm on Twitter at _DM_Sara, and I do a lot of things with you guys now. I was one of the lead designers for Level Up Advanced 5th Edition. I've got some stuff in Insider and in the Gate Pass Gazette as of this month. And I am the narrator for Star-Crossed Seaways, an actual play that will just wrap the first season, and it will be returning in August.
Yes, and we'll talk a little bit more about that later. But also we have here the captain of the sea lettuce in the Star-Crossed Seaway. Ro, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Robin, or Ro. I played Elizabeth Flynn, the human captain marshal of the sea lettuce and the Star-Crossed Seaways. That's what I do for EN, for now.
And maybe a few other little videos explaining how Level Up Advanced 5th Edition works as well that you'll see coming soon. Took as well is here joining us. Took, I think everyone wants to see your cat again, but could you also introduce yourself and what you do with EM Publishing?
Oh, well, I play the wonderful Valar Beach Petal, the wonderful herald who doesn't use a weapon and punch people. I realized I'd never used a weapon, really.
I don't think you ever did.
Don't fix it.
Didn't need to.
Don't fix it if it ain't broke. That's what I do, I guess.
That's what you do. You're a streamer on the Star-Crossed too. And again, also maybe making some introductory videos onto Level Up Advanced 5th Edition to make give you some videos, which is coming out soon.
Yes.
So thank you for joining us. If you do have any questions, you can ask us, as the little banner at the bottom says, have a question, ask us now. So the next hour is meant to be just an informal chat where we let you know what's going on at EM Publishing, what we're up to, and then I've got these lovely folks on to talk about the Star-Crossed Seaway, the Level Up Advanced 5th Edition campaign that just finished this week. So we're all still a little bit in our feelings about it. So if you have any questions about that, I'm sure we're all more than happy to talk about that for sure. So yeah, pop your questions in the chat. And hello, thanks for joining us.
Hi.
Just hi to Sara, no one else.
No one else.
And yes, there is a kitten here as well that may or may not appear later because cats do what they want. But yes, so here talking about EM Publishing. What I was going to do is we were at the UK Games Expo, the EM Publishing. Well, I was a couple of weeks ago, and we had a few people because we do so much stuff at EM Publishing now. Some people got a little bit overwhelmed. Oh, the person is now commenting hello to everybody, just so none of us feel left out. Thank you very much. I feel seen. But yeah, so I was at EM the stand, and I was talking to people about what we do, and everyone was like, "Wow, that's a lot." And I was like, "Yeah." So first of all, I was going to do. I made, as is very interesting and everyone loves, a good old PowerPoint presentation style thing to say what we do at EM Publishing. And I'm just slightly cut off, but that's fine. You don't need to look at me. So there's kind of three pillars that we do that I'm going to be talking about for the next hour. So we have EN World, which you can find at enworld.org, and that is kind of the tabletop news and reviews site. So that's where we let you know what's going on with tabletop RPGs, and it's not just to do with us at EM Publishing, it's just the whole industry stuff. Yes, it is a wonderful PowerPoint demonstration. Everybody loves that. But yes, that's what we do at EM World. So we love the tabletop RPG news. And we have EM Publishing, which is where I'm talking to you from now, and that's where we make tabletop RPGs. So things like Level Up Advanced 5th Edition, which we're going to be talking a lot about today, but also other systems like What's Old is New and the Awfully Cheerful engine. And we also have, which is a new thing, which we're streaming on right now, is EN Live, which is where we make tabletop RPG shows and content, which the Star-Crossed Seaway was our first kind of campaign to go on there. But yeah, that's kind of what we do. So I'm going to be talking to you today about stuff we're doing. I'll remove that now because you can see our faces. But I want to talk about stuff we're doing here. One of the things we're doing EM Publishing at the moment that's really exciting is if you've heard about our Kickstarter campaigns. So our Kickstarter campaigns we run on crowdfunding platforms. We've used Kickstarter before, hence Kickstarter. And the reason we call them Kickstarter campaigns is because they run for just 2 weeks, and then we immediately fulfill the PDFs as soon as the campaign ends. And I think our record is a matter of seconds. I think Russ did that, not me. He was literally poised there, sat there to click to send you all the rewards as soon as finished. So you get the PDF immediately, and then as soon as the cash clears, we send you your books, and that's it. So it's done really, really quickly. So we do our Kickstarter campaigns on there, and they're just like under $10 for them as well. So they're really, really nice, cheerful things. We do them every month on Kickstarter. But as some people are aware, Kickstarter came under some controversy because they are looking to use kind of blockchain in the future and other cryptocurrency things. And without going into detail of why people don't like that, a lot of people don't like that. I think that's just a bad thing. And so a lot of people said, hey, I'd really love to support you in publishing, but I don't want to support Kickstarter, so I don't use that platform. So we said, okay, we'll try out going on Indiegogo. So right now, currently, we have our campaign on Indiegogo. All the Kickstarter campaigns we've done, we're making available there, and I'm putting the link in the chat. And our first campaign we're doing on Indiegogo, well, our second campaign is Over the Next Hill, 5 plugin settlements for 5E. So they're different locations to put into your game. It's 5th edition, so it's also compatible with Level Up as well. And like you say, it's just £7 for that on there. And this is a screenshot from when we first started, because I noticed it says 0. It's not on 0 currently. I just realized I probably should have got an up-to-date screenshot. But yeah, so we're doing that on there. So if you're interested in supporting Kickstarters but don't want to use Kickstarter as a platform, this can be the one for you there. But yeah, we are still, however, using Kickstarter because it's a platform we've been building up an audience on for a very long time. And so next week, when the Indiegogo campaigns runs, we are running a new campaign, which is X Marks the Spot, which is nautical resources for your 5th edition games. So a bit of a piratey theme there. It's launching next week on Tuesday. So you can go, I've put a link in the chat there so you can check that out. And if you follow that link I've shown there, you'll be able to go and be notified when it launches. And we'd love your support on there. And speaking of pirate campaigns, that very wonderfully segues me into the reason we have these wonderful people here. Because the first ever Level Up Advanced 5th Edition actual play campaign was a very piratey themed sort of campaign under EN Live. And we had these wonderful characters that were here, and I've got some of the cast here, and Sara, the narrator of the campaign. So I'm going to kind of hand over to these folks to have a chat about that. So Sara, could you talk us through the setting of the Star-Crossed Seaway?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So Star-Crossed Seaway is, I knew I wanted to do pirates, right? Like, because pirates are awesome. We had a lot of enthusiasm for pirates. So it's set in an archipelago called the Thelvian Isles, which has been, fairly simple. This trade between the isles. People have their little squabbles, fairly self-contained. And this all changed about, what did I say? Now I'm going to misquote myself and get in trouble. But I believe it was about 20 or so years ago, traders from the nearby continent of Araxis started coming with their bigger ships and their new, unique things that couldn't be purchased anywhere. And while this was, useful for the people of the Isles, because they could get tools and equipment and beautiful things they couldn't get before, it started putting a lot of the smaller merchants out of business because they could no longer compete with these big ships. And so what we explored a little bit in the story was, well, how piracy has emerged and how really the fiduciary order, this trading company out of Araxis, had taken on a very expansive definition of piracy, where basically anyone who tries to hinder their efforts is a pirate, including our lovely crew. Some intentionally, some accidentally, some they're stowing away. And, well, they encountered some supernatural events as well. But that's the world that Star-Crossed Seaways takes place in.
Yeah, and so Robin, you mentioned before your character was the captain, Captain Flynn. Can you tell us a little bit about her? And also, the martial class is a new class in Level Up Advanced 5th Edition. So if you could talk us through how you found playing that.
Yeah. So I obviously wanted to play a pirate, and I was like, okay. We were told what the new classes in A5E were that don't exist in other 5th edition content. And I was like, okay, the martial one, I'll play that one. I admittedly did that before I actually looked at it.
Okay.
It just so happens to have
Is
worked
that because
out.
in the chat I just said if anyone wants to play some of the new classes, that would be great, and you were like, sure.
Oh yeah, that's exactly why. Like that was when I decided what character class I was going to be playing. I'm like, yeah, martial. The martial class is so it's so cool. Once I actually like got to dig into it, it almost helped me build Elizabeth as a character and like everything that she's like motivated about as a captain. The marshal is essentially supposed to be a leader. A lot of the class's like abilities sort of bring your companions into the fold. Like the commanding presence is all about giving an extra attack to your teammates at level 1, and the rallying surge, you can heal them basically within like 30 feet. You get to add your martial level and stuff to that. And then the archetypes are all so different. They kind of lend you to any sort of style of leader you're trying to be. Like, are you someone who's very tactical and plans everything out? Do you have strategies for every scenario? Or do you like to take risks and just kind of roll the dice and see what happens? And I was like, for a pirate, that's perfect. And a lot of the stuff you get at higher levels is super cool. And it's a class that maybe at level 1 feels a little underwhelming in a way, but it's not. Like, you just have to understand that your features are meant to not only let you be big and buff in melee and like hit things, but to let your companions do it.
Just like a support class, the leader sort of role.
Yeah, it's a the way that you may hear me put it in other content in the future is it's the ultimate support class, in my opinion. You can heal, you can give the rogue an extra attack with like sneak attack damage. Like if you're realizing, oh, my dice are not good today, but this rogue is dealing like 40 points of damage at level 1 with all this sneak attack, that's a little bit of an over-exaggeration, I admit. But you know, if you're like, okay, well, my D12 or my D8 on my weapon versus that extra D8 or D6 or whatever, those 2 extra sneak attack die. Hey, my rogue is within 10 feet of me. They're using a crossbow. Let me let them hit that thing 30 feet from me. And
Yeah.
it's got a lot of feats that do that. And you know, you can use your combat maneuvers to like buff yourself if you really want to. And that's kind of what I did, because I'm like, I have all these feats that help everybody else. So let me
take a little something for you.
Yeah, let me make sure that you're not trying to make sure that I don't die. And the traditions that you get as a marshal are so fun and so different. The martial class is just really easy to tailor to any kind of leader you're trying to be.
Which every party needs one.
Yeah. And Elizabeth, like, we were all like, oh, hey, are any of us the captain? And I was like, I mean, I can be the captain. It kind of fits well with this class that I'm playing. And Elizabeth was kind of born from there, like I said. And we were like, oh, yeah, so Lewin is going to be hostage turned crewmate, and Al is a stowaway, and
Yeah.
Valar is a pirate for
Actually competent.
unknown reasons.
Well, maybe we'll jump over and let Took talk about Valar and control their narrative there with that. It sounds like Russ is saying they're working on a Pirate Lord Marshal subclass for the Gate Pass Gazette, and we'll talk a little bit more about the Gate Pass Gazette later. But that is a monthly magazine that we have that supports Level Up Advanced 5th edition. And if you go to patreon.com/gatepass, you can see it there. So you can check that out. And we've just had issue 4 come out, which one of the writers of may be sat just there to my side, which we'll talk a little bit more about later. So it sounds like that came a little bit late, Robin, because you could have maybe used that subclass for the campaign. But season 1 is done now. Well, we'll see if when it comes out, if it's in time for season 2, which is coming back on the 2nd of August. But Took, so you were playing Valar. Would you like to tell us about who they are as a person and also your class you played?
Oh boy, Valar is very interesting. Like, you know, it's like he was one of those characters where I had no idea where I wanted to go with him. I had like I guess I had like a general idea of like I wanted someone who was very older and experienced, but had no idea, no idea why he was like wise and experienced, and to like kind of have the crew help him learn why and stuff like that. And little did I know how amazing everyone else's personalities and characters and the things they would do and say would help my character remind himself of like why he was who he was. And the relationships developed very well. But he's super tall elf and old and like to knit. I basically made a grandpa, which was intentional and not intentional, and I love it. And I think it just makes sense that he was a herald. No, sorry. Discipline the cat.
That's definitely something you can do. You can tell them no and they will listen. That's how cats work.
Well, he just sat down, so I think I'm doing a good job here.
The cat whisperer. Do you think that's because of your herald class that you're able to commune with animals so well?
Probably, actually.
Pretty familiar as the shrub.
Oh my god, I love honeycomb so much. Valar is a herald Green Knight, and I just I love herald so much. I love it so much. It just like the versatility of herald is insane. Like I would like when it comes to like certain classes and like certain classes that I have trouble with D&D 5e that I do not have with level up 5e is that like it feels like I have to choose a certain subclass to feel useful while playing a class. But with Herald, I didn't feel that at all. Like no matter what archetype I chose, I'm pretty sure I would have been helpful or would have been fine. Like I could have taken up any role. I could have took up a leader role if I needed to. I could have took up a support role if I needed to. I could be a tank if I needed to. It's so many like different type of Herald spells that I could have taken to make myself that way, and also the archetypes. But I'd rather be the one who's able to deal out damage when I need to, but also be supportive when I need to. So I kind of love that ability to be able to do that without it being an issue or a problem. And also Sarah allows me to be very creative. so I really appreciate that. Also, I'm also loving his god that apparently he created. Which also you don't need a god as a herald to actually have the power. You just need to have a very strong sense of oath to fuel your power and to fuel your ambitions and whatnot, which is absolutely amazing. Would you please? And it's so like different and just unique. And I'm having so much fun. Can't wait to punch more things with holy damage.
Could you tell us a little bit about your god for those of them that are intrigued to know more about them?
Oh boy, the goddess of cleaning.
The goddess of cleaning.
Yes, the goddess of cleaning. Oh boy,
And she was just willed into existence from your passion for cleanliness.
No, stop. Yes.
No to the cat, yes to Jess.
Yes. She, man, I didn't realize it in the moment that, like, because of like the events that had happened, in the ritual that interrupted, was enough to fuel this god into existence. I was like, maybe Sarah's messing with me. No, Sarah was
The
not
whole little
messing
thing of the setting. I said from the beginning, if you believe in something hard enough, it might
exist.
take form.
I love her, man. I in my head, she's like a very sassy grandma.
Absolutely.
who just,
don't you dare come in here, I just mopped grandma.
just 100%. I just got yelled at that like a couple minutes ago before I came in. But she I don't know. I like that. She reminds me a lot of the way that Sarah has been. Don't yell at me. The way that Sarah has been playing, like depicting her, she reminds me of my actual grandma, which is like gives me all the feels. And this is the first time I ever had like a goddess of cleaning, which I want to elaborate on in season 2 because holy crap, that is amazing.
I imagine she has a spell book full of the uses of like white vinegar and bicarbonate of soda and the many properties it can have for cleaning.
Well, I'm very interested to see how I can use that to mess people up.
The goddess of cleaning.
Yes. Do you not understand that she has I feel like in my head she has a vast knowledge of alchemy. Because think about it. Cleaning, putting together cleaning solutions takes some smarts.
I guess she can help you clean up a crime scene afterwards as well. So yeah.
I didn't think about that, but I am now putting that on my list.
Add it to the list.
Do we need to clean up a crime scene? Really?
Well,
yes!
I guess you're pirates. Maybe you just sail away and.
Well, just because we're criminals doesn't mean we have to leave evidence of being the criminal.
Make that famous.
You know what? This is the dynamic between the two characters. And I love that.
Elizabeth and Valar are pretty perfectly.
Yes.
Wonderful. So Sarah, you don't have a character in the StarCraft series because you were the narrator, of course, creating the story. And I wanted to talk about like running a Level Up Advanced 5th edition game. What's that like compared to say running just regular D&D or another style of campaign?
Oh my god, it's so much fun. I mean, there are certainly things that you recognize from 5th edition you can still do. If something works well at your 5th edition table, you can still use it and do it. And that's nice. You're not totally like reinventing the wheel. But the depth is so much more. And not just like the characters will do things that totally surprise you. And you're like, wait, you can do that. Ooh, that's cool. Yes, you can add an expertise die to that. And that's really fun as a narrator. But also, one of the really cool things is when I was designing Captain Sophia Arando for the final climactic showdown between the rival pirate captains. And I was like, I could just give her a maneuver. And that's such a fun way to add depth to your classic, more humanoid villain, you know, whatever that may be. Give them a maneuver. Give them a different weapon. Give them a little thing, and that suddenly she's not just a duelist, which was the stat block that I based her on, but she can have all this other richness to her. And that's a ton of fun just from like a simple encounter building perspective. And then the exploration challenges really allow me to supplement the areas that aren't combat as well, to really give it a feeling of this is a world of challenges, but not every challenge is a fight.
Definitely. If you haven't got the books, even though why would you not want one of these gorgeous books? I think Sarah's about to bring hers on screen as well. But you'd like to kind of read a little bit more about the rules, we have the A5E Tools site. So if you type that in, A5E.tools, that is a really good resource to use to give you some familiarity with the rules and a really good overview of it. So you can check that out. Or you can have a workout like Sara is,
Yes.
and and purchase the books. So I'm going to talk a little bit later about where we are with Kickstarter fulfillment, and then pre-orders, and then just purchasing the books in retail. I'll come to it a little bit later in the show. But if you are interested and want to like read stuff up while we're chatting and talking and ask questions, A5E.tools, you can go onto now and just have a look on there. And I'll talk a little bit about the tools site because we've had a couple of little updates and things go on there, which I'll talk to you about later. It was messaged to me mere moments before we went live because Russ is very organized like that.
I can talk about them if you don't want to because it's so good.
Oh, well, yeah, the updates, do you mean?
Yeah, because I noticed them like as I was prepping for the finale, and I was like, ooh.
I will come back to you to talk about that then, Sarah. That would be great. But Robin, so talking about the campaign, in terms of, so we talked mechanically about your class and things like that, but in terms of just the story in season 1, do you have any like favorite moments or little moments you'd like to share that, I mean, so many, but...
It's so hard to just like say, oh, these were my favorite moments, because it was like every moment was memorable in a way, and not in that like, oh, if everything's memorable, is anything memorable kind of way.
Mhm.
So in we got to do so many different things with each other, like just from a player to player standpoint, and Sara really gave us the freedom to do that. After we were like, hey, this was awesome, please let us keep doing this. And I mean, Sara was great with all of those things, so we constantly kept getting what we wanted out of this, which was incredible. But for me, like if I just focus on Elizabeth, the sort of arc between her and kind of getting to the point where for the first time in her life, she could do something about the fiduciary order, and could actually finally, in a way, strike back against this massive, like, indomitable force as just a single pirate captain, because we were in the right place at the right time, and we have a rogue.
We have a rogue. Yeah.
We have a rogue who gets it. And if that moment would have happened in episode 1, it maybe doesn't happen at all. But the way that our characters developed relationships together, and then we ended up in that situation where we could do something. And then that moment where rather than just make the decision alone as the captain, which I had done many times before, like, hey, I'm the captain, we're doing this, as captains do. This felt so massive. I still, like, in my heart, I couldn't stop talking about how big of a deal I thought that moment and that decision was, like, out of game. And coming to that decision as a group, and the conversation that we all got to have, and the way that we all were kind of super vulnerable, especially Elizabeth kind of digging into why she is who she is now. That was definitely a moment that I would not trade for anything. That was one of the coolest moments I've had playing a character in a game, period, full stop. So that was it for me. The story was incredible. We got everything we wanted. I got everything I wanted. I can't speak for everybody else, but it was incredible.
I mean, that sounds like high praise. Took, do you have any kind of favorite moments, or beyond creating a goddess of cleaning, that you'd like to mention?
Oh boy, so many, dude. Oh man, I think my favorite was So like I don't know why, but I like to give I like to have my characters give gifts if it seemed like that's their personality, and
Mhm.
I wasn't sure. I was very nervous about if they were gonna be okay with him making like knitting stuff for them, and like
Yeah.
and as soon as I was like, I made you a sweater, they were like, yes, please. I was like, oh, thank God.
I think Lewin, who's played by Kurt, their character, they were just like, this is the nicest thing anyone has ever done for me.
Yeah, that broke my heart, dude. I was like,
Yeah.
oh my God. Oh, your parents suck.
Yeah.
How his parents suck in season 2. That's gonna be really fun.
Oh
Mhm.
no. But like that I think that was my favorite moment is of giving them gifts and just see their different reactions. And I think my favorite was knowing that the captain hates replacing their old things, and just to see her go, nah, well, can't hurt this, and you know, don't want this to break, so just kind of flip it inside out so it doesn't get ruined in battle. I was like, oh,
That was
I
so
love
sweet.
you too.
Yeah.
That was just so precious, and like everyone's characters developed very well within like 8 episodes, and changed in so unique ways. Even our NPCs changed, except Mark, he's dead. But everyone else,
He changed
like-
a little bit. And then he died.
like, oh man, like I can't wait to see the will you please don't yell at me.
Oh, it's so cute though. Let them do what they want.
His name is Puddin, by the way. I feel like someone was wondering. Yeah.
I thought it was gonna be honeycomb.
I'll get them an
Dang
official,
it!
I'll get them an official role at EM Publishing, because all the pets at EM Publishing get an official role.
Okay.
My dog's head of marketing. Ross's dog is
There
head
you
of
go.
quality control.
You're gonna get a
I love that.
role.
Yeah.
I think I posted a picture of
Chaos.
my Roomba at one point. I was like, can it have a job?
Yeah.
Um,
I think it's the goddess of cleaning already, so so
Well
yeah.
But,
For me, watching the campaign as somebody who wasn't involved in it, like early on, I contacted Sara, because Sara is one of the lead writers on Level Up 5e, and I knew that she ran games. So I was like, please, will you do this? And she was like, yes, I will. Amazing. And then I was like, oh, do you have anyone like you particularly want to have in the campaign? She's like, no, I trust you to cast it. That's fine. And I was like, oh boy, I've got a job now to go out and find people. And I went out.
So,
I worked out really well. I pretty much, there was lots of people I knew in tabletop RPG space from either being content creators on TikTok or their writing work or on Twitter. And my goal was just to get a bunch of people that were really great people that were passionate about games, and to put them together to see how it worked and get a range of different people. And it really worked. And I was hoping it did. And it was really nice to see how the group formed. And we've also got a little Discord channel that everybody writes in as well, with other stuff, which is nice to see as well. So plenty of banter and making fun of each other in there. So which is nice, you know, because some people are always halfway through eating their lunch when they arrive, you know, to do the recording, things like that. But yeah, but if you haven't seen season 1 of the Starcross Seaway and you've heard about this and you're like, wow, that sounds amazing, first of all, yes, you're correct, but you can catch up and watch it all on enliverpg.com. So there's a campaign site there where all the videos are archived, and there's also a link to the podcast. So if you prefer to listen to actual plays for the podcast when you're walking your dog or out and about or working, you can catch up there on season 2, and then season 1. Sorry, and then you can listen to season 2 on coming back in August, and that'll be 2nd of August, where you can catch up on that there, so you can have a listen to that. And also, if you have got recently your Kickstarter books for Level Up Advanced 5th edition, and you're looking for some kind of inspiration on how to play the game and some bits and pieces like that, watching an actual play can be a really useful way to see how a class is played and give you ideas for your campaign. So hopefully that will be helpful for you. So we've been running the Starcross Seaway, duck down again because I made the screen too big. So we've been running the Starcross Seaway every Tuesday at 3 p.m. Eastern on EN Live on our site where you're watching now, and that will end. We're going to have a little break until August, but do not fear. because we have plenty of other shows at EN Live to keep you busy with tabletop RPG content. For example, every single Monday we have a show called Not D&D, because whilst we love Dungeons & Dragons and Level Up Advanced 5th Edition, there are other tabletop RPGs out there. And so I have a show where we talk about tabletop RPGs that are not Dungeons & Dragons. Every week I get a tabletop RPG creator to come on and talk about the game that they've made, and we have an hour's kind of hang out and interview, kind of like this, and you can ask questions, and it's also available as a podcast on notdnd.podbean.com, so you can check that out on Mondays. On every Friday as well, we have a show talking about the news, which is called This Week in TTRPG, which looks a bit like Twit, but isn't quite. And pretty much, it's me talking very quickly in less than 3 minutes, giving you the week's tabletop RPG news, and you can get that as a podcast called This Week in Tabletop RPG, or we put it on all our social media channels that you can see on the top of the screen, which is at EM Publishing RPG, including TikTok, which Russ doesn't know how works, so he isn't on there. It's just me controlling that on there. But if 2 to 3 minutes of the week's news isn't enough for you, that's understandable. You can hear myself, Russ, and Peter ramble on for sometimes over an hour about the week's tabletop RPG news, amongst other things where we have a topic of the week. And yeah, so if you're interested in tabletop RPGs and aren't looking to listen to an actual play show, this is the one here. But if you are looking for an actual play show and you're very sad and wanting the Star-Crossed Seaway to come back, we will in August. But in the meantime, on the first Thursday of every month, we do a one-shot where we showcase our system, the Awfully Cheerful Engine, a system that's not D&D, see? And we do that every Thursday, the first Thursday of the month. And if you see that system and you like it, and you would like a free copy of that RPG, you have the chance to get one. All you have to do is go on Twitter and use the hashtag Awfully Cheerful Question and ask us a question about any tabletop RPG topic. So it could be like, oh, how do I find a game that suits this sort of setting, or how do you recommend doing? I can't think of any questions, but if you can, this is why we need you to come up with them, because we can't. If you send us a question by that and we choose it and answer it on the show, then we will send you a free copy of the Awfully Cheerful Engine as a reward. So you can get your hands on a free copy there by doing that. And another thing you may have noticed, the thing you're watching right now, we do every month, is the EM Publishing Monthly Update, which we do on the third Thursday of every month. So that is all the content we do at EN Live. And if you're thinking, wow, Jess, that was a lot of information very quickly. Yeah, I'm sorry about that. But you can catch up and see it at any time on our website on enliverpg.com. We have an interactive calendar with all the things going on and the times and the links to see them. And if you hover over things, it even pops up saying what they are with more information. And it has a calendar link, so you can put an appointment in your calendar as well if you really don't want to miss it. I spent a lot of time doing that, so if everyone could appreciate it, that would be great. Thank you. So that's everything we're kind of doing at EN Live. So Star-Crossed Seaway, this lovely cast and crew will be coming back in August, but there's plenty of stuff to keep you going between now and then. But moving on, we're going to talk specifically about Level Up Advanced 5th Edition and what's going on with that. So these are the core books that are going out and being fulfilled at the moment, the beautiful tomes, or perhaps these collector's editions that Sarah and myself have. So
look at this.
If you backed the Kickstarter and you are in UK or Europe or many other parts of the world, we have sent you your rewards. You should have those. But if you are in North America, you should be receiving your books about now. So maybe you've had some tracking from QML and the GSL when they're arriving. If you're in Canada, they arrive slightly later because of distance and physics. So it takes a little bit longer to travel up to Canada. But yeah, they should be arriving with you and that should be fulfilled. If you have ordered the Adventures in Zeitgeist book and it's not there, do not panic. The Adventures in Zeitgeist book is coming in a separate parcel a couple of weeks later, so don't worry, that will be on its way to you in the second wave of fulfillment in North America. So that's all coming along and you'll receive tracking details for that. So myself and Zin at EM Publishing, we do the kind of behind the scenes admin side of it. So we're doing all the fulfillment and logistics of stuff. But whilst we've been doing that, the creative team, including Sarah, being a part of that, have been very busy creating more stuff for Level Up Advanced 5th edition, which I'm going to talk to you about now. So the next big thing is the new book, which is coming up, which is the Dungeon Delver's Guide. And this is kind of a resource kind of for narrators, GMs that want to create compelling and mazes and layers. And also it's useful for players, adventurers who want to kind of venture below the surface in dungeons and return alive is the idea. So for players, there's going to have new archetypes, heritages, new cultures, new gear, new spells, new mounts, new magic items, so all these sorts of things. And for narrators get very excited by this. There's loads of clever kind of traps and tricks and different puzzles that kind of rewards and challenges players instead of punishing them. Because I think sometimes in a dungeon, it's like, oh, you fall into a trap, haha. The rogue just goes and fixes the trap, done. And it's not very interesting. The Dungeon Delver's Guide is really kind of changing that and making that a little bit more interesting. It also has guides for building underground adventures. It's got a quick guide to dungeon building systems. It's got loads of stuff in there. It's more than I can talk about here. So the best thing that you could do if you want to hear more about it is go to levelup5e.com, and every 2 weeks we're doing a really detailed blog post talking about what we're doing with it. The one that recently came out on the site is talking about what we're doing with traps and our approach to that and how we're building that in the dungeons. So take a look at it on there. And this will be coming to Kickstarter this autumn. We're looking around October time. But if you want to stay up to date and, kind of get a notification for when that's happening, if you go to levelup5e.com, you can sign up to our newsletter there so you can get some information on when that's happening. And here in the chat as well, someone is up to date and knows what they're doing because they have the link right here for the article I was talking about. So Daryl knows what's happening. But yeah, and also to talk about a new issue that came out was the Gatecast Gazette, which I mentioned briefly before. Now, this is our monthly magazine that supports Level Up Advanced 5th edition with new content every single month, and you can sign up to the Patreon by patreon.com/Gatepass. But this issue I'm going to hand over to Sarah to talk about because Sarah wrote part of this. Sarah, can you tell us about,
The part that I wrote. I can't tell you about anyone else's, but
That's fine.
But I wrote a little segment called Items of Intrigue, which is a bunch of mildly magical items that might be used by the nobility, the upper class, the elites. Very much because I watched season 2 of Bridgerton, and I was like, I have ideas.
Oh,
But
nice.
how do you bring this into fantasy settings? So a little bit of that, a little bit of Harlequin vibes, a little bit of just all that social intrigue.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a ton of fun to come up with things that allow for like that more intrigue, politicking, subtle play of words and gestures that is so much fun to role play at the table.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to come up with a bunch of items that would make that easier, allow that to support it, and are just fun, right? Everyone wants a poison ring. That's just fun. So now you have them. And that was what I wrote for it. It was a lot of fun to write.
Excellent. And you can check that out in the Gatecast Gazette there. So that's some details there. One of 4 items on there, so many things you'll get in the Gatecast Gazette, but you can check out the site there, patreon.com/Gatepass to take a look at that. And if you want a sneak preview to see what's inside the magazine, there's a summary in the blog post on levelup5e.com, so you can kind of have a sneak preview before you commit to buy. But those intrigue ideas, going back to the Starcross Seaway, Sarah, would those kind of themes maybe be in season 2 of the Starcross Seaway now they're on your mind?
I think they will. So one of the things that Level Up has is your prestige rating, which is how well known you are. And at the beginning, I was kind of like, okay, no one has any prestige, right? Like, this is a brand new ship. Maybe Captain Flynn has like a little bit in certain circles, but in general, this is not a high prestige crew. They don't even have a full crew. They did the entire season with 5 cannonballs, right? This is not the suave pirates at level 1. It's not just not gonna be. But now they're level 5. They're starting to make a name for themselves, quite literally. Applestock glided over the city of Panatoa on dragonfly wings, quite literally flying it with what they have been doing, which Robin talked about with the fiduciary order and how they're going to give these shipping charts to small merchants to give them a competitive advantage. Everyone knows that now. The crew is a major player, not just in terms of like their combat strength, but in terms of what they know and who wants to figure out what the heck they just did. That's absolutely going to be, I think, I don't know how to say that it's the major conflict of season 2, but there's a lot to explore with the fiduciary order that we've really only seen it as a setting piece. So I think it'll be a major conflict.
Interesting. Good for the viewers to know, but I can see the players both there going, okay, all right, making notes. But yeah, if you want to kind of have a sneak preview of the intrigue and those themes, as we mentioned, the Gate Pass Gazette there, Sarah has done some writing for, and you can check out those items of intrigue written in there. We're making more stuff at EM Publishing, because that's what we do. This is the new exciting thing that I've been working on as well, getting made, is the combat maneuver cards. So Level Up 5e obviously introduces combat maneuvers, and we talked a little bit about that before with the characters and how that works. But this is a deck of cards that will kind of help you use that and manage what kind of ones you have. So we're putting that together. It looks really nice, and that's going to be coming to retail in August this year, just when the Star-Crossed Seaway returns. How coincidental. And you'll be able to pre-order that from next week, I believe. We're just confirming the shipping dates just to guarantee that it will be here in August. But yeah, so they'll be coming as well. And if you like these combat maneuver cards and you think, hey, that's a snazzy idea, if we sell a few of them, maybe we'll end up doing something similar for spells. So just saying. Vote with your wallet, maybe. But they'll be coming, so you can pre-order them on empublishingrpg.com, so you can check that out there as well. And the last thing I wanted to talk about is the A5E Tools site, which I briefly mentioned before, which is a really useful resource. It's currently in its beta mode still, so there still might be things that aren't like 100% perfect with it, because we're still working on it. We're constantly doing updates, and we've recently had an update, which I'm going to pass over to Sarah to talk about, because she's very enthusiastically.
I'm so enthusiastic about it.
Please, Sarah, tell us all about it.
Well, for starters, I love if you're not on A5E Tools, you should be, because if you're running a 5th edition or level up 5th edition game, it's so easy to use. It's got headings for just about everything you could want, and especially with this new update. I was going to read off the headings for you. Okay, we're good. It's got all the things that I found really, really helpful. In some of the previous versions, they were kind of in this long list of things that very much paralleled how the book was laid out, because this is a lot of work to put together. Let's be clear. Like, the team that's working on this has been non-stop trying to hyperlink everything. You're going to see a lot more things are hyperlinked now, which is very nice. But you'll also see that where you had a lot of things were kind of folded into the game rules books, but now things have been pulled out more. So you have all the combat maneuvers are in a drop-down heading. The spells, you can just click from a drop-down to get the spell for the appropriate class. You can click for the type of magic item, the type of exploration challenge, the type of monster that people are fighting. And then they also now have a useful pages tab, which I got really nerdily excited about when I saw that.
Yeah.
It's exactly the things that I was always like, why can't I find this? Things like, oh yeah, right, I remember that the condition works slightly differently. How differently? I can just go to useful pages. It's there. Treasure tables. Big, because I'm always like, oh yes, you fought the monster and you should get something. You're looting the monster.
Shiny penny.
Right, you're looting the monster. And of course, part of that is helpful in the way the Monstrous Menagerie has been laid out, where everything has, that's the Adventurer's Guide, Monstrous Menagerie has been laid out, where every monster has an associated, some associated treasure that you might find with it. But having it just there in a rollable place, it is great. So if you're running an advanced 5th edition game, get thee to A5E.tools. It is so great. It is searchable. It is becoming more hyperlinked. It is still in beta. So there are still things that you're going to see that are not totally perfect, but it's so good. I use it all the time for Star-Crossed Seaways. I cannot recommend it enough.
It's great when you're just a player too.
Oh my God, is it?
I have
Oh crap!
my like feats and stuff saved in a Google Doc, and then A5E.tools came, and I'm like, oh, this is so nice because I don't need to keep scrolling through this massive document that I've made with all the things I can do. I can just look at the name on my character sheet and then go to a drop-down menu, and it saves players time. It saves narrators time. It's awesome. I love it. I love it so much.
Trying to remember the stats on Honeycomb was a pain. Oh my God.
I can just search Wicked Shrub.
And now you can just search on A5E.tools. So there you go. So yeah, hopefully that's a useful resource for you. As we say, it's still in beta at the moment, so we're still working on it and developing it. But already it's in a really great place, and I hope you folks all love using it. We are coming up to near the top of the hour, so if you have any questions you need to ask, please pop them in the chat. Now is your kind of last opportunity to get them to answer it. And if you are my boss and I've forgotten to mention something, you can also put that in the chat and I will say it now. So feel free to put that in there. But yeah, if you ever have any questions, you can always find us online and chat to us at EM Publishing RPG. You can see everything listed that way on the side there. So we're on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, and Twitch. And you can always get in touch via our website and our online shop as well. And we try and be very quick to your comments on Kickstarter as well. So if you have got your books and you're very happy with them and you're running your Level Up 5e games, please do post it on social media. We love seeing it, and use the hashtag Level Up 5e. And yeah, and then we can see the things there. So someone has asked, what are your long-term projects, any areas of RPG you're going to branch out into, i.e. not fantasy? Oh, well, it's very interesting that you mention that, because we have a book we're working on currently for Level Up 5e, which is called The Void Runner's Codex, which is taking Level Up Advanced 5th edition into a more futuristic sci-fi space opera sort of setting. So yes is the answer. We also have lots of other books on our site that you can check out that are not D&D and that are not fantasy setting. So the website is empublishingrpg.com. This monthly update, we've been quite focused on Level Up and talking about that, because we're doing the fulfillment right now. We've just finished the show and everything's kind of going on. But some systems you might want to check out is the Awfully Cheerful Engine, which are action comedy RPGs, and every month we do a one-shot based off that, so you can check that out. And we also have our system What's Old is New, which the old setting is fantasy, but new and now are kind of futuristic sci-fi and also kind of current time settings. So if you're not looking for fantasy, those might be some systems that you want to check out and have a look at. So hopefully that answers your question. But yes, Sci-Fi Level Up will be on its way. That'll be something that's coming to Kickstarter in 2023. If you want to be right on the edge of knowing all about that, of course, you can follow us on our site, on our social media channels, and also levelup5e.com. We have our newsletter you can sign up to, so you'll be the first to hear about it. But I think that's most of the questions. So I will say thank you very much to my guests that have come on to join us. I'll give you a little moment to let people know where they can find you and to plug any projects you're working on that you would like to plug. So Sarah, where can people find you on the internet?
Hello, you can find me on the internet, on mostly Twitter, at the underscore DM. Oh, there we go. So I don't have to say underscore like 7 times. It always feels very long. You can find me there. I am a pro GM. I am a pro designer. I do layout. That's a fun thing that I do now. And you'll also be finding my stuff in upcoming editions of something I forgot to talk about. The Gate Pass Gazette is also now on A5E.tools. It's not up to date.
Yes.
Obviously, if you back on Patreon, you get it.
Up to issue 2.
Well, more advanced. But that is a thing. And I'm just going to hint that maybe you should peek at the third-party products page as well, because as things emerge. I've done layout on a couple of them. Maybe plotting some design for another one. So keep an eye on that section as well.
Wonderful. Robin, where can people find you?
Where can people find me? I am on Twitter at Call Me Caulfield. As you can see, I don't have to spell out Caulfield like I on every episode of Starcross Seaways. I am also a pro GM and a pro designer. I am writing for a few things that aren't out yet. I'm a writer on Queers from Son of Oak, and I have my own TTRPG coming out this year called Play Ball. It's a sports anime TTRPG. So if you're looking for non-fancy TTRPGs,
that sounds like a thing. Maybe we'll have to have you on an episode of Not D&D so you can talk about it for an hour in a bit more detail.
I'd say yes.
Excellent. Sold. We'll talk dates later. You have my details. Took, where can we find you on the internet and the many places you run around there?
Oh boy, all these pros here. I am not a pro.
You're a pro streamer.
Pro streamer?
You're a pro friend.
Stupid. Yo, buddy. I am Took, I guess. You can find me at Took, I guess, on pretty much any of the social media apps, but mostly here on Twitch. And today, on my Twitch channel, the D&D game that I run as the DM will be on at 7:30 p.m. CST. It's called the Illusionary Chase, and they're currently in my version of Barovia. So come by and see how Stradivania will terrorize the players. It will be fun.
Excellent. So go check those out there. So to everyone that came along and asked questions and had a chat and showed some interest in what we're doing at EM Publishing, thank you so much. We're an indie tabletop RPG company. We love making tabletop RPGs and seeing people play them. So thanks so much for your support. And thank you to everybody here who made the Starcross Seaway happen. It was a really great project to watch and be involved with, and I can't wait for it to come back in August. So thank you so much. And so from us at EM Publishing, I will say goodbye. Thanks very much.